The long-standing promise of Microsoft 365 Copilot has been a tool that inside Microsoft's apps can work alongside you to get more work done. Not just knowing a lot about your data and how you work, but also taking steps so that you don't have to. Now, with Edit with Copilot, we have a tool that is just smart but also extremely capable of being a copilot that can just take the wheel as you work. In this video I'm going to show you how to use Edit with Copilot with some new features available today and some that will be coming. My name is Nick DeCourcy. I'm a Microsoft 365 consultant who specialises in AI adoption for small and medium-sized businesses. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you're interested in keeping up with AI advancements, make sure you get subscribed to the channel and drop this video a like so you get to see more from me in the future. And if you're interested in working with me, check out the links down in the video description to get in contact. If you're in Copilot Frontier, then you may have previously tried Agent Mode. In fact, I've shared videos about Agent Mode in the Microsoft 365 apps here. Edit with Copilot is the new name for Agent Mode, and it has now become generally available across Word and Excel, and it will also be coming to PowerPoint alongside a newly announced similar capability in Outlook. Edit with Copilot uses new multi-step agentic AI technology to solve for two big problems many users of Copilot have pointed out over the last couple of years. First, since the conversion of the in-app Copilots to Copilot Chat, many users asking Copilot to take actions for them have been responded to with instructions on how to do it themselves, rather than Copilot actually doing anything. If you don't know how to do a task, then this is helpful, but all the same, often this isn't what users were looking for. And secondly, many of the chat-based Copilot actions dating back to the initial release of Copilot were very single step-by-step. You'd ask for a simple update and wait for it to happen, work out what change Copilot had made, and then ask for another. Certainly useful, but in general, when we're asking a colleague for help with a task, it's not how we frame that interaction. With Edit with Copilot, the default chat experience converts to one where Copilot can take actions in the app, and the framing of these actions can now be multi-step tasks rather than a single step at a time. This opens up new potential for how these tools can help you and what types of tasks you can turn to Copilot for. Let's look at some examples. Okay, so for my first example, I have a Word-based form, and this isn't the best place to have a form, but this is generally the place that I see a lot of forms that people are still filling out in organisations. So probably your organisation has at least one or two that you are filling out in Word. And related to this form, I have some discovery call notes related to the type of information that I might put on this form. And if I was going to go ahead and try to take all this information and put it on the form, even if I was the one who'd attended the meeting, this would take me some time to do. So over in my member intake form, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open Copilot. You can see the default experience here now is that I'm going to edit with Copilot, and I'm going to go ahead and add a simple prompt, fill out the form with the info from the discovery call, and I've added my discovery call notes to my prompt. Now, in this case, I have uploaded from my desktop because that's where those notes were, but in most cases you'll probably use Context IQ to grab something that's already in your Microsoft 365 data. I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And you can see that very quickly Copilot starts filling out the form, step by step, so I'm not having to tell it each cell that I want to put information in or find that information separately. It's just going ahead, understanding what the form wants. You'll note there are no like solid fields on here, there's just open cells within this table, so it understands the structure of the form and what it's looking for, and then fills it out with the right information. And with a task like this, I could probably save a good few minutes every time I would want to do this, so you can imagine how that could add up versus the alternative of going through and doing it yourself, or just extracting information with Copilot and then having to copy and paste it into the right place. In my next example, I'm going to use Edit with Copilot in Excel, and you can see I've got an Excel spreadsheet here where I've got a whole bunch of documentation related to some kind of construction project, and you can see I've got invoice totals here, I've got budgets, and I've got a variance. So Maybe I want to look at this in a different way, but I'm not really sure how to maybe pivot it and to understand those variances a bit better. That's okay, I could use Edit with Copilot to do it. So I've just added a simple prompt here. Can you create a summary table that shows me for each type of work like electrical, plumbing, etc., how much each contractor has budgeted versus what they actually spent and whether they came in over or under. So, I'm not really using any Excel specific language there. I'm just explaining what it is I want, and I'm going to go ahead and run that. And quite quickly, it creates this table for me that shows me the information that I've asked for. It gives me an overview of what it is that it's done. So that's clear to me as well. I understand what it's put together. But again, I haven't had to do this step by step. I've just given it an objective and it's gone ahead and it's done that for me. And lastly, I've created a table here in Excel that needs to be filled out with RSVPs for an event. Now, please no one tell Thurman that I'm using Excel in this way because he would be very upset that I'm not using SharePoint lists. But this is a real type of example of what someone might use Excel for. So my colleagues have very helpfully been tracking the responses for me, but instead of finding my template and putting them in the right place, they've just been sending to me as random emails and call logs, and even putting together their own table because they couldn't find this one. The type of thing that happens every day that slows work down in a normal business environment. So no problem, I'm going to use Edit with Copilot. So I'm going to open up Edit with Copilot. You can see I've got Copilot open and Edit with Copilot is the default. And I've attached all of those different RSVP notes that I've received alongside a simple prompt saying extract responses from the attached files and add them to the table in the spreadsheet. Single responses may be split across multiple sources. So let's go ahead and run that. And fairly quickly, I have all of my data in my table, and Copilot has given me a breakdown of everything as entered. Now, bear in mind that all of this is demo data. All of the demos today have been demo data, so you're not seeing anyone's real data. And if this was a real process that you were running through, you should make sure that you put in place the right type of verification steps in here to make sure that it's collecting the right things together. But you can see how useful this is and how much it would have sped up a process like this. The biggest takeaway for me here is that Edit with Copilot offers the potential for Copilot to help with how many organisations actually use the Microsoft 365 apps, rather than some idealised best practice. Should your event RSVPs be in an Excel spreadsheet? Probably not. And I'm going to come to some solutions for this in another video. But for Copilot to create efficiencies, it must come to the tasks you actually do in the way you actually do them. If we then choose to take that saved time and reinvest it to make the underlying process better, that's a good choice, but we cannot put the cart before the horse. In PowerPoint, Edit with Copilot will offer a similar set of capabilities contextualized around the type of work you do in PowerPoint. In Outlook, we are getting new chat-based capabilities, including calendar management and a clearer connection between the Microsoft 365 Copilot chat product and Outlook capabilities. Word and Excel are going GA now. PowerPoint remains in preview, and Outlook is rolling out to preview. No information yet on whether this new approach will be rolling out to other apps or experiences. For me, Edit with Copilot is the functionality many have always expected of this product. It makes Copilot a product that not only knows a lot, but can do a lot too. And not just in some abstract way in chat, where you're not sure how to use that output, but in the apps that people are really using every day. How have you been using Edit with Copilot so far? Or which capabilities are you most looking forward to? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching through to the end. I hope this was useful to you. Until the next video, bye bye.